Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and intellectually inquisitive individualists. It is I, Aleister Crowley III, Deputy of Common Sense, and your emancipator of educational enslavement. Today's video will be on a subject that I find deeply frustrating. It really is difficult being one of the few people on Earth who thinks with complete freedom. What do I mean by that? Be patient. I'll tell you in just a tick. Renfield, launch the intro. There is nothing wrong with your browser. Do not attempt to refresh the page. We are now controlling all that you see and hear. We control the horizontal and the vertical. We can delude you with 1,000 videos or expand one single frame to crystal clarity and beyond. We can shape your vision to anything our imagination can design. We shall control all that you perceive until we see fit to release you. You are about to experience the depths of depravity that reach from the folly of human pursuits to the deputy of common sense. Please stand by. People are sheep. This is a fact. Most people have no real opinions of their own. They just parrot whatever sounds good to them. They hate what they hate because they believe that they are supposed to hate it. And they believe this because everyone tells them to hate it. The same is true of the things that they love. Most people have never had an original thought since they were 5. Most of you are no better than automatons. You might as well be the board. But why is this? Why do we have such a rational disconnect from our individuality? Why do we value what the herd wants over what we as individuals want? Part of it is evolution. We evolved as a cooperative species. We hunted as a group, we cared for our young as a group, we even developed societies that allowed us to cooperate in such great numbers that we became the dominant species on the planet. We are a cooperative species. This is our nature. And this nature has served us well. However, it has also led us astray. How many times have monsters been allowed to control the populace simply because so few people were willing to stand up to them, and nobody was willing to risk what they had in order to do the right thing? How many times has a dictator ruled with an iron fist while the people ground beneath his boot did nothing? Because no one wanted to be the first to speak out. I guarantee you that a significant portion of the world have never researched their positions, and a decent portion of those that have ended up making up their minds before they even looked at a single study. Why? Because they're fucking sheep. The reality is that the average person views critical thinking, imagination, and individuality as mostly unnecessary. You have Wikipedia, you have the Times, you have the Guardian, you have MSNBC, you have Fox News. You don't need to think for yourselves. There's no need to actually pick up a book and read it. And God forbid you read a long, complicated study that gives you actual data on the topics you speak about. All your thinking is done for you. It has been since you were children. What was the first thing you were taught in school? No, you dingbats. Before you learned to share. What was it? Come on, put on your thinking caps. It's not that hard. That's right. You were taught to listen to the teacher. You were taught to obey the teacher. You were taught that the teacher was right. And before the teacher, it was your parents. You spent your entire childhoods allowing others to do your thinking for you. and this would be fine. If your parents and your teachers didn't have agendas to push, if the school didn't have an agenda to push, if the government didn't have an agenda to push, but that's not the world we live in, is it? It would certainly be nice if it were, but it's not. We all have agendas to push. Even I have an agenda to push. However, my agenda is probably not what you'd expect. Most people live their lives following the trends that others set. They go to McDonald's because their friends go to McDonald's. They buy a Rolls Royce because society tells them it's a fancy car. They vote for a politician because the news tells them that that politician is the right candidate. For my US-based audience members, here's a question. Rewind time to 3 years past. If you voted for Hillary, did you vote for her because you honestly supported her? And before you say yes, ask yourselves this. Did you really decide that she was the right candidate on your own? Did you research her thoroughly? Did you look into her history with Wall Street? Did you look at how much she flip-flops on issues? Did you look into how dishonest she was? Did you look at how she colluded with the DNC to screw over Bernie? Did you look at how dangerous her foreign policies were? Or did you ignore all this? Did you vote for her because everyone else told you that Trump was the enemy? Did you ignore all criticism of her and listen to whatever other people told you? What about you, Trump supporters? Did you vote for Trump because you honestly supported him? Did you research him thoroughly? Did you look into the massive structural engineering problems with his proposed border wall? Were you concerned about his tax returns? Did you even consider how his oil and coal policies might damage the environment? Did you look into how his tax cuts would really only benefit the 1%? Did you think he might endanger American lives with his foreign policy towards China? Did you ever consider how dangerous it might be to give someone with his mental instability access to nuclear weapons? Or did you ignore all this? Did you let the talking heads at Fox News and Breitbart make up your mind for you? How about now? Now that he's in office, what do you think of it? Are steel slats what you envisioned as your massive wall? Do you notice a difference in your taxes? Do you think his travel ban was justified, even though it spits in the face of the First Amendment and wipes its ass with the very principles your country was founded on? Do you continue ignoring the glaring flaws in his policies, both ethical and practical? Do you view any dissent as little better than treason? Do you view everyone who disagrees with you as a beta and a libtard and an SJW? What about you, liberals? Do you think he has done anything good? Do you support normalizing relations with a threat like North Korea? Do you support his efforts to talk down a dangerous dictator? Do you support withdrawal from Syria? Before you answer that last one, ask yourself this. Did you support that same idea under Obama? Do you even think Trump is capable of doing good? Or do you close your minds to the idea that he might, just might, be able to do something positive? Do you turn up your noses and act like his mere existence is a crime? Do you extend that hatred to his family, his cabinet, his voters? Is anyone who disagrees with you a Nazi? Is anyone who disagrees with you a fascist? Is anyone who disagrees with you a misogynist, transphobe, racist? Is anyone who disagrees with you the enemy? And did any of you on either side stop for a moment to think about the impact of your behavior? Did the thought cross your minds, that there might be consequences for your actions? Did any of you stop to think what kind of ticking time bomb so much hatred would inevitably create? Have any of you researched the fall of Rome, or Greece, or Egypt, or the Ottoman Empire? Did any of you realize that all of these civilizations were destroyed by corruption and constant infighting? Did any of you consider that the threat might not be external, but internal? Did any of you know that the final invasion is not what caused these civilizations to fall? Did you consider that infighting and corruption weaken a country to the point where countries that were previously insignificant are able to take over? Did any of you realize that this is how it all starts and this is how it all ends? Did any of you know that based on historical data, your country is in fact in its twilight years? And do you understand that if nuclear weapons are how your country ends, that the rest of us might vanish with them? Did any of you stop to consider a single one of these questions? Of course not. That's the whole point of this video. Very few people ever think about the complex motivations for their decisions, and because of this, very few people think about the consequences of their actions. None of you do any research. You just waltz in and act like you know everything. Well, newsflash, most of you know nothing. Do you know how many adults actually read in your little rat hole of a country? 28%. Do you know how many minutes a day they read? 17. Do you know how much I read a day? At least 4 hours. Do you know how many books I own? 1,080. I bet most of you haven't even seen that many books in your life, let alone read them. And no, I'm not sorry if this comes off as preachy. Reading is vital to education. Sorry, the truth hurts. Even fiction can teach you valuable lessons. To stop reading is to stop learning. Are you gonna start learning? No! You just sit there in front of your screens and watch garbage. And it gets worse. The need for instant gratification has gotten so bad that even the garbage you used to be entertained with has lost its luster. Now you drooling idiots watch other people react to what you used to do yourselves. You've become mere observers. You are no longer experiencing life. Instead, you are content to let others experience it for you. You're doing it right now, as you watch this video. How many of you have gone outside to enjoy yourselves for more than 20 minutes in the last week? Nobody cares about being alive anymore. Everyone's lazy. Nobody values hard work anymore. Nobody values intelligence anymore. Nobody values honesty anymore. Nobody cares about their individuality anymore. If nuclear war broke out tomorrow, you wouldn't run and scream. You'd sit and watch some guy on YouTube react to it. And the blame for all of this can be laid at the feet of Western society. Our parents teach us what to do and what not to do, but they don't teach us why. Our teachers instruct us on basic subjects, but never teach us any practical knowledge. We are never taught how to cook, how to vote, how to do our taxes, or even how to change a goddamn tire. We are never taught skills that will be useful in the workforce. We are never taught why things happen, only that they do. We are never taught why we must do things, only that we must. And of course, we are never taught critical thinking. Those in power would never allow that. Critical thinking is a threat to the established order. Those in power don't want informed citizens. They don't want any of you to really think about anything. Thinking is a threat. Because if you think, you might realize that the entire system is a gigantic charade. You might realize that it's all a farce. You might realize that the people you are supposed to hate aren't really that different than you. You might realize that politicians are all essentially the same. And if you realize that, you might be angry. In fact, you might be furious. You might be so enraged that you take to the streets. You might take your pitchforks and torches, storm the castle, capture the king, behead him for the crimes that he's committed, and you might cheer as the whole corrupt temple of lies comes crashing down on his severed head. But that'll never happen. This artificial dream they've created will never end. Because when all is said and done, you don't want your dream to end. You're happy in your dream. You love your dream. And while you bask in the bliss of your mental utopia, time marches on. And so too must the endless waltz. Its 3 beats of war, peace, and revolution repeated over and over and over as all of us dance our future away. For most of you, reality is naught but a peaceful dream. For others, it's a hellish nightmare. But those who see the truth behind the illusion know one thing for sure. Dreams and nightmares have one major thing in common. They never last. One day, you wake up and they're gone. They just evaporate, as if they had never been, leaving only a faint memory of their presence behind. And so too must mankind eventually vanish from the earth. No species can forestall the spectral hand of entropy. Extinction will come. I think that it'll come sooner rather than later. I believe twilight is upon us, and soon night must fall. I think that in the next 100 years, our species will come to a screeching halt. Everything will end. There will be no stopping it, and there will be nobody that comes to aid us in our last hour of need. No beings from beyond the stars will save us. No clones will be created to carry on our legacy. And of course, no heavenly savior will carry us away to soft, pillowy beds of velvety cloud. None of that's gonna happen. We'll die here, helpless and alone. And in the last few minutes left to us, we will wish that we had chosen a wiser path. But by then, of course, it will be far too little, far too late. If you'd like to avoid this, then wake the fuck up! Start questioning everything. Everything you've been told, everything you've been taught, everything you've heard from another person. Question all of it. Most importantly, question yourself. Stop watching others enjoy life and live it yourselves. And read, goddammit! Read books about science. Read books about medicine. Read books about philosophy. Read books about mathematics. And most importantly, read books about history. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Finally, employ critical thinking skills to every aspect of your lives. And stop living your lives based on how others live theirs. Break the mold. Be eccentric. Take the road less traveled by. Don't be content to simply coast through life. Strive to leave a lasting mark on this world. It's the only one you've got. But who am I kidding? If humanity were a species that was capable of critical thinking and individuality, we wouldn't still have religion, materialism, political and ideological echo chambers, dictatorships, torture, moral absolutism, and other childish ideas that we should have outgrown at least 200 years ago. By every definition that matters, we are no better than animals. We're just a bunch of hairless apes marching ever forward to our inevitable doom. And we'll keep marching until we march straight into oblivion. All that will be left of us are empty cities full of crumbling buildings and the dogs and cats that roam the streets, having long since become feral. All of this could be avoided. Literally every problem on Earth could be solved by decreasing the levels of ignorance, herd mentality, and passivity inside the minds of the masses. But that'll never happen. We're all gonna die. We're gonna die because all of you chose to draw arbitrary lines in the sand that in the grand scheme of the universe matter about as much as what you had for breakfast. My only advice to you is think for yourselves. Don't be fucking sheep. Regardless, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Nobody listens anyway. Ignore the nihilistic misanthropist. He's obviously just a Nazi, or an SJW, or a fascist, or whatever boogeyman you'll choose to call me so you can sleep peacefully at night. It doesn't matter. In the end, we all disappear anyway. Stay in your peaceful, pleasant dream, for all the good it'll do you. I don't really care anyway. Just run along and go about your day, little sheep. Nothing to see here. Move along. Well, this looks like the end. I'm the deputy of common sense. I dispense swift justice to those who aren't so swift. And remember, all memory, existence, and dimensions, all that is shall be returned to nothing. Then I too can disappear forever.
Wanna join me? Come and play, but I might shoot you in your face. Bombs and bullets will do the trick. What we need here is a little bit of panic. Do you ever wanna catch me? Right now I'm feeling ignored. So can you try a little harder? I'm really getting bored. Come on, shoot faster. Just a little bit of energy. I wanna try something fun right now. I guess some people call it dynamite. Let's blow this into ashes and see what Papa thinks. It's such pathetic neatness, but not for long 'cause you'll get jinxed. So much better, so much fun. Let's start from scratch and blow up the sun. Come on, shoot faster. Just a little bit of energy. I wanna try something fun right now. I guess some people call it dynamite. Let's blow this into ashes and see what Papa thinks. It's such pathetic neatness, but not for long 'cause you'll get jinxed. And get jinxed.
Hello, operator. I believe my party's been disconnected.